Hey everybody, this is Brandon again. Just wanted to put out a video. I felt the Lord had given me something to share, and I know those who are kind of in my circle and broader have been finding out about quite a few significant changes in events. Some think it's negative, some think it's normal, but there's a lot of people who have opinions either way, and I felt the Lord gave me some wisdom to share. And I normally don't put out a lot of videos just to put them out, so I feel like this is a word from the Lord, and it's a recommendation on how we can process these events and significant things, even people, our opinions of people, and what's going on. It's a way that we can do that and make sure that we're in the will of God, make sure that we are living by the Spirit and truth and not by something else that is probably more evil than we may intend or may be aware of. So I want to make this brief because there's a lot of stuff going out. So I just want to put these points out that God had given me real quickly. And it comes from Matthew chapter 16, a familiar passage. It's where Apostle Simon at the time, he's speaking, well, Jesus is speaking with the disciples, and Simon is one of them. And it's where Jesus asked that famous question, "Who do you say that I am?" And he says, "Who do men say that I am? Who do you say that I am?" And when he asks that question, Peter responds, and he says, "You are the Christ. You are the Son of the living God." And Jesus then says, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, because flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father in heaven." And and then he changes Simon's name and calls him Peter for the first time. So I want to read just those last couple verses and just share the points that the Lord had given me that I believe are words of wisdom for us as we navigate some of these important situations that have come up. So Peter said to, or Jesus said to Peter, said to the disciples, "But who do you say that I am?" And this is Matthew chapter 16, verse 15. And in verse 16, Simon Peter answers, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." And Jesus said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah," or Simon son of Jonah, "because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell, the gates of Hades, will not overpower it," or some translations say will not prevail against it. Okay, so basically, the Lord was sharing with me, many of us are having a similar situation in our lives as we look at some of these events that have unfolded, some people who are behaving or displaying themselves differently than we might have expected. And the question that is presented to us is, who do you say that I am? Now, here Jesus is saying it to the disciples. Who do you say that I, Jesus, who am I? But in our situations today, with these important events and occurrences, the question that's coming to us, and I'm saying in a sense, who do you say that this ministry is? And in my case, I'm at Morning Star, and I know that's where God has placed me and Lasanda and my family. So who do I say that Morning Star is, for example? And then some of the different leaders that have been in the forefront of certain stories and developments. Who do I say that man, that woman is? Okay, see what I mean? That's the question. And the wisdom of God, the truth, and the way that the great shepherd of the sheep is leading us is to follow Peter's example. And Jesus said to Simon, later he called Peter, Jesus said, "You are blessed because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you." The same is so important for you and I. We cannot rely on flesh and blood. We can't rely on our own opinions. We can't rely on whatever our expectations were, or any form of wisdom or knowledge that is in this carnal world, as James calls it, the wisdom that is beneath, the fleshly carnal wisdom. We can't rely on that. The only thing we can depend on is what our Father in heaven reveals to us. That's where the blessing is. That's where the grace of God is. That's where the truth and the wisdom from above is. It's only found in the words of Jesus, the words of God that are spirit and life, and it only comes from what our Father in heaven reveals to us. Okay? And Jesus had the example here. Simon gives him an answer, and later on you can see that Father revealed to Jesus who Simon was, and out of that place of the Father's revelation, what the Father says, now Jesus says in verse 17, blessed are you, Simon, or I'm sorry, not verse 17, verse 18, I also say to you, you are Peter. Where did he get that from? He got it from what Father revealed to him. Okay? So I'm saying to you by the Spirit of God, who do you say that this man is? Who do you say that this ministry is? Not what's in the news, not even facts that we know happened. Who do you say? And where are you getting your decision? And at the last point, down at verse 19, based on what we say, now we have authority, or we have the wisdom and the truth and the knowledge and direction to do what God has given us in verse 19. Jesus says, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. But we can't bind correctly. We cannot loose correctly. We can't declare and prophesy and preach correctly if our truth and our knowledge is coming from what flesh and blood has revealed. We can only do it by what our Father in heaven has revealed to us. So I implore you, please, before you make hasty decisions, before you go on all these long messages or start even praying, don't pray from what flesh and blood is revealed. Don't pray from what you thought, what this person said. Pray from the place above, seated on the throne with Christ, where you see from the spiritual perspective of the King of Kings and what Father reveals to you. Pray from that place, and then whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loosed in heaven. And I'm speaking by the Spirit of God, what God is doing in this hour with this particular ministry, these leaders, and other things. It's happening more broadly, but just right now in my little circle, what he's doing is he's building his church. And just like he said to Peter in verse 18, you are Peter. Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not overpower it. And so I declare for Morning Star, for other leaders that are involved, God is building his church. He is doing more to add. He is doing more to raise up and develop and mature than the enemy is doing to prevail. The only way the gates of hell can prevail is if we stop building, if we stop participating with what God wants to build. So let's not be a part of the tearing down. That's what flesh and blood revelation. That's what my own opinion and the natural carnal wisdom does. It tries to tear down what God seeks to build. Don't be a part of that. Let's be a part of, Father, what are you revealing? And I'm going to partner with you and agree and bind and loose based on what my Father in heaven reveals to me. And I will join with Christ as he is building his church. So I want to encourage you in that. Love y'all. Let's build with the King of Kings together. Let's follow him. And let's not get caught up in the lower wisdom, which only tears down and brings division. Love you.